Cabbage? Yeah, cabbage.
It's the Daylight Midnight Show.
Hello and welcome to the show, which this week has added shadow. Yes, it won't surprise you to hear me say that it's dull and dark and dreary here again, so I've given in and putting a light on this week so you can at least see me. Now, last week's show was almost exactly 10 minutes long, and normally that would really please me because that's what I kind of aim for as a soft deadline. But last week I was trying to get well under 10 minutes because the week before we went way over 10 minutes, so I was trying to get it under to make up a bit of the time. So this week we're going to try and plow through it very, very quickly. So let's crack on by revealing our slogan of the week, which this week for the first time has a picture. What do you mean, what the heck is that? It is quite clearly a very well drawn Olympic flag. Yes, I know the rings should be intertwining with each other, but I was rather worried about the trademark that they have on the Olympic flag. And also, I don't know if you know, but this thing's incredibly difficult to draw freehand. You know, trying to get those colours to interweave with each other in the way that they do on the actual flag. And also it messes up the cheap felt tip pens I've got if they overlap each other. So that's what I've gone with, and underneath it, go GB. And there's only a few days left on the Olympics, but I was a bit slow getting to the party, but I really, really have enjoyed it this year, watching the wonderful snowscapes in Italy and the superb efforts by Team GB, getting 3 gold medals at one Winter Olympics for the first time. Isn't that wonderful? So I'm putting up my flag to show my support, at least for the last few days. Let's go on to our appropriate, fascinating fun fact for Friday then, which does have an Olympic theme. Before the start of the current Games in Italy, the total number of medals handed out in the history of the Winter Olympics was exactly 3,500. And I don't want you to know how much time it took me to work that out once I decided that was going to be the fact without knowing what the answer was, and how pleasing it was when it ended up being a nice round number. So that's our fascinating fun fact for a week. So my week in 10 words then, which is a little bit Olympics dominated, but this is what I've been up to in the past 7 days in the form of exactly 10 words. Writing and planning, boring admin, watching Olympics a lot, rain. Starting at the end, I mean, it's just been incessant rain. I don't know if it's the same where you are, but I think the last day where we didn't have rain was April the 13th, 2007, is the way it feels. And I find that very depressing. It really does drag my mood down, which has made everything else I've been doing this week feel a lot harder. But I have managed to do some writing and planning. I don't think I've mentioned this. I've written a serial that I'm going to film for YouTube Shorts that's going to be available on this channel very, very soon. So I've been doing some planning for that. And then I just got lost in watching the Olympics, which has lifted my mood rather a lot, apart from the fact that at the end of every day I go, what could I have done if I wasn't spending hours watching curling? But it's only once every 4 years. Right, on to the purple card then, which of course has its own theme song. And it's not a purple card anymore, it's a green card, because I ran out of purple cards, moved to a yellow card, and then ran out of yellow, so it's now a green card. If I was an eagle, I would often have to preen. Let's see what I've written on the card that's green. So the green card is where I just write stuff down as I think of it during the week. Point number 1 this week, I think I made the perfect cup of tea. I'm not sure what I did. I don't know what I did differently. I don't know what forces conspired to come together for this, but I made myself a cup of tea the other morning, and it almost took my breath away and blew my socks off with just how perfect it was. I wish I could recreate it. I wish, if you're a fan of tea, that I could tell you what I did. Your ideal cup of tea might not be the same as mine, but I somehow accidentally made myself the ideal cup of tea for me the other day. It was divine. Point number 2 this week, do I look scary? Now, I walk around quite a lot, and I like to talk to people while I'm walking around. If someone's got a little dog with them, or they're just out and about, it's nice to have a chat with people, right? But I've noticed recently that not only do people not want to stop and talk to me, over the past couple of weeks, they haven't even made eye contact with me. So I'm just wondering whether I'm starting to look more scary. I did wonder whether it's around where I'm living at the moment. We do have a thing going on at the moment where quite a lot of people are partaking in certain recreational substances that the rest of us aren't using. And it's creating this atmosphere where a lot of people are saying things to people that aren't even there. So maybe they see me on the own and they worry. But it's just one of those things. Am I getting scarier? It could also be the fact that normally when I'm out walking, I'm thinking about either this show or something that I'm writing or song lyrics. So I'm probably muttering to myself as I walk along. Maybe it's that that's putting them off. And finally, point number 3 this week, I am a one-take wonder, and here's why. Now that may sound like a boast, but it's not, and I'll tell you why. Normally when I'm recording something, either for this YouTube channel or for this show, or if I'm recording a bit of music or something, I normally only ever do it once. And part of the reason for that is that I want it to be like an organic, natural thing. but also because if you give me a choice, I can get really lost in the details of that choice. And I'll give you an example. If you look at the previous 2 videos that I put on this YouTube channel before this edition of the Daylight Midnight Show, it's 2 versions of exactly the same song. And the reason that happened is I decided I wasn't going to use that song for the project I'd written it for, so I decided to just put it on YouTube just to get my stuff out there. And I recorded a version of it, not realising that I'd already filmed a version of it on my phone. And I then had the dilemma of not knowing which one to use. And I don't want to admit to you how much time I spent comparing the 2, writing a chart with sound quality, how good my voice was, whether the guitar sounded in tune or not. Honestly, in the end, I just picked the one that I'd filmed that day and just put it up, and then the next day it was just tormenting me in a real kind of neurodiverse way of saying you should have put the other one up. So in the end I went, stuff it, that one can go up as well, and people can see both and then decide between them. Had I just put one up, you never would have known what the other one sounded like, but it was basically a day of my life that I lost to making a choice. If I'd only ever filmed it once, I would never have had to think about it. And that's the lesson I'm going to learn from this week. And that is everything that's on the green card. So let's go on to chapter 9 of Interactive Gregory then. This is the story that we're all writing together. And we've come to the penultimate chapter because I did say before that I wanted it to end at chapter 10. And this week it is chapter 9. Beautifully written, it has to be said, by Angie. Thank you so much for your email, Angie, and for this wonderful chapter, which takes us towards the end of the show, end of the story. So, if you remember, Gordon Grape got blown away from his vine. He got taken away on a storm to a strange land where he met a peach and an apple. They became friends. Then it took a sinister turn where it looked like they were going to eat each other. Another storm picked up and blew them all away again. So this is chapter 9, written wonderfully by Angie. Somewhere in the darkness of the cold winter, Gordon hovered between consciousness and oblivion. Dreams of his home mixed with memories of his adventures, until curiosity overcame fatigue and his eyes opened, reacquainting him with waking life. Blinking, Gordon looked around and realised, to his dismay and disappointment, that he was locked in a laboratory. Now it has to end from there. 1 chapter left, 100 words or so to be written, and 1 week to send me your suggestions. And next week, we'll probably read the whole story that we have completed between us. Unless I decide to leave it until I've drawn some animations for it, which is also a plan. And there was a suggestion about how we write chapter 10, but I'll explain that next week because I don't want to overrun and I don't want to go off on a rant about AI. But AI will not be involved, I assure you. So let's decide what I'm going to wear next week. With the wonders of outfit roulette. So we use the rotating randomness of the rolling cube, and that gives us red. So next week I will be wearing a vest. Over the top of that vest I will be wearing whatever is in column purple, which is my dressing gown, and to accessorise all that we'll have whatever is in column blue, which will be a baseball cap again. So vest, dressing gown and baseball cap. Will my hair be up or down? Let's decide with the Crynal coin toss. I do that, show it to you, and that is tails. So my hair will be up in a ponytail. Thank you so much indeed, and do please send me your suggestions for the final chapter of the wonderful story, A Beautiful Day for Gordon Grape, which actually, when you listen to some of the chapters, hasn't been that beautiful all the way through, but hopefully between us we can give him a beautiful ending to his story. I will see you next week. Have a great 7 days.